Language learning is difficult, but it can be something that's made easier by avoiding these mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to be going through 3 mistakes that you need to avoid when learning languages, because without doing these, it could lead to demotivation, lack of progress, and eventually you giving up in the language. And that's something that we don't want. First of all, unrealistic expectations. Languages take time. They take time to review vocab. They take time to, study grammar rules. They take time because you're listening, and all the time you're trying to immerse yourself in the language. They take a lot of time, and it's small little bits of progress every single day over a very long period of time. So if you're learning your first language and you think you're going to have conversational fluency in the space of 3 months, only studying an hour a day, then you have an unrealistic expectation. And when you're 2 months in and you realise that how unrealistic that expectation is, you're going to have demotivation. So many people do this. They get really motivated. I'm going to learn Spanish and I'm going to learn for 4 hours a day, maybe 5 hours a day, and I'm going to get fluency in 3 months because, language learning can't really be that hard. All I've got to learn is a couple of words and a bit of this and a bit of that. And you can make really, really good progress in 3 months. I'm not saying you can't. I've experienced it firsthand. You can make really, really good progress if you follow the right rules and methods and everything like this. But fluency, especially if it's your first language, fluency, conversational fluency, whatever, probably isn't possible within 3 months. You're only going to demotivate yourself when it comes to 3 months and you still speak to maybe A2, B1 level. So when you first learn a language, when you start learning a language, you have to think to yourself, right, this is going to take a long time, but I'm in for it. But I want to learn a language. I'm here to learn a language, but it's going to take a very long time, and I understand that. It could take 6 to 12 months. It could take a couple of years. I don't know, but it's going to take time, and I'm going to have to maintain it as well. So once I learn a language, I'm going to have to keep maintaining, keep reviewing the words, because, this is something I have to keep hold of. The second biggest mistake is lack of input, a lack of listening. And you see this so much. You see people who are reviewing words and they're speaking practice all the time, and it's brilliant because they're doing everything correct apart from when they're away from learning the language and they're not really on focused study. They're not listening to the language. They're not getting the language in their ears. They're not getting comfortable with the language through listening. And that's something that's really important. That's actually a mistake I made when I was learning Spanish whilst at school. I didn't listen to the language enough. And if you don't do that, you don't develop your listening skills with the language, which is something that's actually real. They don't come naturally as you learn the words. You have to develop your listening skills. You have to get used to the rhythm and the pace of the language. And without that, when you have a conversation, it doesn't matter how good your grammar is, it doesn't matter how good your speaking skills are, it doesn't matter how big your active vocabulary is. If you can't hear what the other person is saying, then there's no point having a conversation because the conversation won't be fluent. So to fix this is just basic immersion. When you're doing anything, listen to the language as much as possible. Listen all the time. Find news, music, podcasts, whatever, YouTube videos. Just listen to the language as much as possible. Then, as you develop your listening skills, you will be able to understand what the other person's saying when you have a conversation, and then you'll be able to use your strong speaking skills, and then you'll have a fluent conversation, and then you will be conversationally fluent. That's how languages work, I think. Very simply put, that's how languages work. The last and probably the most common, biggest mistake to why people can't learn languages, why people give up learning languages, the biggest mistake is the mindset, and it's a lack of consistency. As I said earlier, languages take time, but it means doing the basic, simple things every day for a long period of time, and that can be very boring and repetitive, and it takes a lot of discipline. But when you look at the most successful people in every single field, not just language learning, but athletes as well, the top business people with net worths of 100, 200, maybe even $1 billion, they do the boring, simple things every single day to make sure they get there. Consistency is the biggest difference between success and failure. And in language learning, it's just as true. Even to a point when you've got conversational fluency in the language and you've moved on to learning your next language. Let's say you've got conversational fluency in Russian and now you've gone on to learning Arabic. You still need to maintain that Russian consistently, because if you don't, not all of it, you probably to a level where you'll remember enough Russian to speak it well, but a lot of that Russian will come out. You will not remember a lot of that Russian if you don't maintain it consistently. Then the more languages you learn, the higher your workload becomes when maintaining them, and the more consistency and discipline is needed. That's what makes the top polyglots so good. But when they say anyone can learn a language, it's true. Anyone can learn a language. It's just they have developed their muscle of discipline, and they've developed their skill of consistency to such a high level that they can maintain all these languages whilst learning a couple more every single day. So I hope you have a bit of motivation from this video and you've learned that you're not going to try and learn a language as quickly as possible and burn out because you're trying to learn it in 3 months. That's silly. Do a lot, but do it often. That's what's going to make you so good at the language. That's what's going to make you really, really good at the language, and that's what's going to give you the best progress. So thank you for watching this video, guys. My ebook is now out for release, so you can buy that in the description. It's a very short ebook, not very expensive. So if you want to go out and buy that, then thank you very much. That would be highly appreciated. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.